Yesterday we have been seeing a lot of small talks. There is the handshake. The game
tired to talk.
is
But here we go, e4, e5. Good old Spanish. Magnus adjusting, plays a6. Looks like no nonsense, both sides. Playing their main openings, bishop e7, rook e1 or d3. Yeah, rook e1. Duda's a classical guy. Let's see if he goes c3, telling Magnus, please show me the marshal now. a4, b4.
Okay, a very fashionable line, very trendy
Magnus
line.
not sticking with his rook b8, bishop b7 line, which we both had the pleasure of studying during the World Championship match. But instead he goes for b4, which has always been the main line, but Magnus historically doesn't like it.
Yeah, and it's interesting that after a4, b4, d4, d6, after d takes e5, he captured with the pawn.
Yeah. Normally people take with the knight, it's simpler, but he's trying to keep more pieces on the board. There's some old line, bishop c5, bishop 6, queen 7, and so on. I'm sure we both looked at it at some point in the 2010s, but don't ask me for details.
Yeah, it's one of those mysterious positions. I believe this whole knight v2 was brought in by Grishchuk in the candidates tournament in London 2013. I think that's when it was introduced, and people took it very seriously. A lot of high level clashes there.
I never liked it for black just aesthetically because you have these weaknesses on the queen, so that's why I always liked this bishop b7 with b8 knights Magnus used to play. Here, it's back to the roots. I'm not sure about the move or like queen 7, maybe allow bishop d5. Where he says there was some h6, queen d6 setups. Anyway, some subtleties. A little easier to play for white. Bishop d5, knight b3 is a typical idea. And they just develop pieces.
Yeah, now things have stabilized kind of after the trade of light square bishops. Black's queen gets a very nice little square on e6. On the other hand, white gets easy development. We see knight b3, bishop e3. After the trade of bishops, there will be a lovely c5 square, potentially for white's queen or the knight in an endgame. At the moment, knight c5 probably will be met by queen c4.
Queen c4, yeah. Black looks solid enough. Barely. Some counterplay now with queen c4. Keep the balance. If white goes queen c5, and then we can kick it.
Yeah, it's a little bit too early. Also,
B8,
somewhere
rook
some
B5.
rook b8. Yes, exactly. The typical way in this type of structures. If black gets the rook to b5, this will beautifully guard the c5 pawn and target the a5 weakness.
Then black is fine, yeah. You go rook d1 and go queen c4. I don't see anything special for it.
Yeah, no, it's actually maybe slightly more preferable to play with black, because with black you don't play for an advantage. You just play natural moves. And if with natural moves you can hope for something, that's an ideal scenario.
And yeah, he goes queen e2. I like that move. Stopping queen c4 and hinting at knight c5.
And also stopping rook b8, rook b5.
Yes.
Very nice move by
Rook
Duda.
db8, but that's not the trade, of course, going up the open file. No, Magnus goes knight h5. He's so in tune with the details of the position. Yeah, queen e2. Nice move, but it allows knight h5, knight f4. White can't go g3 right now. And knight c5 Zwischenzug.
Wow.
What's the English term? Intermezzo? Knight to f4.
Yeah, knight f4, intermezzo. Yeah, no, knight takes e6, knight e2 is so tricky. It looks like black has a damaged pawn structure, but the a5 pawn will be weak. Black will follow it up with rook b8, rook b5.
Yeah, Magnus doesn't love that pawn structure. And look, more subtleties. King f1, he doesn't take the knight. But black could go knight g3, also breaking the white structure, and he does.
Takes.
Some clever stuff. Now black
there
is
was
a little better, no? Rook b8, rook b5.
Yeah, also up on 1 minute up on the clock, but I wanted to refer to that incredible, legendary Magnus Carlsen Levon Aronian game when this a5 pawn was finally captured, and it was actually a mistake to capture that pawn. So these positions are very tricky. Black can put the rook on d6.
Black is very solid. King comes, rook b6, and rook b8, rook b5 is always lurking as a plan. Duda has to be careful here. This could be a vintage Magnus Carlsen. Technically. I don't know if you saw that game in the rapid When he played against Brajabov, it looked like it was slightly worse all the time, just quietly exchanging the pieces, and then he just won easily. I don't know how he does it.
That was the only game that I missed from Magnus, to be honest.
Fair enough, fair enough. I was impressed with it. It was very quiet, but somehow, yeah, he always manages to grind something out, even from these slightly worse positions.
But I'm not exactly happy with his choice by taking on d1. Wasn't rook d6 much more interesting, putting pressure on Duda's clock? And things are a bit easier and Duda creates counterplay.
Just wants that a5 pawn, but Duda goes for g4, g5. Yeah. And also if rook b5... I don't know, I was gonna say rook a1, but it doesn't say.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, so king e3, rook b5, g5 takes.
b3.
e3. Wow, so he's implying that against c3 wants to take with the knight and threaten knight c4 check going up to the b2 pawn.
Putting pressure.
And no time for Duda. He needs to speed up.
Rook c1, good reaction. Knight takes a5. He allowed knight c4 check. Oh, that's probably bad news. Knight f3, knight c4. Now king e2 just takes and rook takes b2 and black has the pass a pawn. That looks winning, no?
This looks winning. Certainly. But
c2,
okay.
Rook c2, rook b2.
With a damage pawn structure and some coordination, White's king might come to c3. It's not easy.
The a pawn. He brings the king. He's a classy guy. Yeah, king d6, strong move. No, he's gonna win.
Yeah, White's knight is moving too far away, down to 4 seconds.
Duda shaking his head. Not happy with how this has gone.
No, not at all. Certainly not.
Magnus go back with the king. Magnus went back. Well, king c5.
Okay, but then Duda is maybe back because he gets counterplay.
That was strange by Magnus. So pushing the a4. He makes a million knight moves, allowing Duda to coordinate.
Yeah, but still, with 5 seconds on the clock, just one mistake and it can cause the game. Magnus setting up a blockade.
Yeah. I thought he would start with h5. But how does Magnus make progress?
Yeah, that's the key. That's what Jan-Krzysztof Duda has in mind. I'm just gonna sit and wait. The black king is kind of stuck, or at least the pieces are stuck, because always you have to watch out for a timely h5 break.
Not obvious, he wants to go some position has changed. So 93, 94, 96.
Yeah, look at that knight on c4. Beautiful blockade. Knight a5. It might be a fortress.
Carlsen also not blitzing out the moves, he's looking for a way.
Wow, knight b7,
really?
really?
After the pawn. Knight b7, now knight f3, then knight takes c5, wins both pawns on the free side. Yes,
yeah, but still, the g5 pawn can also fall. And then this could be unpleasant. But knight h4, king e3 is making sure that the g5 pawn stays alive.
Yeah. Knight g2, knight f4, knight e6. We're still gonna try, but the king comes to g4.
And 2 seconds!
Enough.
Oof.
Enough.
Knight b8.
Into the middle of nowhere, but it's gonna get trapped. Knight c5. Yeah, he blundered the pawn because he couldn't go king g4 because of knight c5.
Yeah, this is what I felt like. Why do you do this?
I'd still be a draw. Yeah, I think it's still a draw, but
this is this is very tough with so little time on the clock. I think he will lose it. Knight b7, knight f6.
For some knight double attack. Bring the king.
Yeah, this is very tough.
He has all the time in the world as long as he doesn't give one of the pawns.
And
but
only 2 seconds.
King g5, knight d3. Not breaking through just yet.
Yeah, not yet. But with only 4 seconds on the clock, this is so tough to defend.
Carlsen's shuffling, but not making progress.
Yeah, now white has improved his position.
Yes. Black forces the issue. Pawns might get exchanged. King back to f3. Try king h4 to go g5, g4. Knight f7, obviously.
Knight f7. Protecting the pawn. Knight f6.
Go. H6, knight b7 back, attacking the pawn.
But there is this g5, g4, knight takes g4, knight g5 trick. And be careful. Actually, it's,
yeah, now g5, king f3, g4, yeah?
yes, it's lost.
And black made progress. Now the king can come to f4. This looks winning now. Duda shaking his head. He has to give up the e pawn. Yeah, this is winning.
Yeah, now with 2 pawns up, this is easy winning.
Magnus finding a way. Duda resigns.
Wow, so Magnus has
Going
done
on.
it